So it's 99.9% sure the U.S. is going to attack Iran. This is my third video on the subject. And it's, I have to laugh now because when it starts, a lot of young people are going to die. Well, all kinds of people. I don't even want to think about it. So again, this is a time to laugh when it's possible. Perhaps it won't happen. Anyway, what I find amusing is all these. I just watched like Ward Carroll and Sal Mercogliano and this other Air Force guy talk about it, and the Americans talk with such confidence about it. I mean, like they're like, "Oh yes, we're going to do regime change," and they don't know what's going to hit them, and we have all these missiles and planes and this and that, and it's going to be much easier than it was in the 1980s. And I'm like, again, to me, what planet are you on? And these aren't dumb people. I mean, these are people that read history, right? They're people flown on these planes. But forget about that. They read military history. They know it. And it's just interesting to me how you can have these military people who know what happens in war and then talk about one that's about to happen as if like everything is going to sort of go to plan, even though like Ward goes, oh, well, there'll always be leakers. There are going to be some leakers. Leakers? Like leakers? Like a ballistic missile or hypersonic missile that hits an aircraft carrier, I think it's more than a leaker, right? I mean, but again, this terminology they use, and they don't use it for themselves. Like they don't say, oh, well, when we attack Iran, we'll probably get some leakers in there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just the arrogance is just off the charts. And I read it many places, and this is why I believe it. I mean, it's definitely going to happen for a lot of reasons. Actually, I've already gone into that. But anyway, but even more of a reason now because they put so much by sending the Ford there that really needs a maintenance, was scheduled for maintenance, and is, it's just not ready to go there. I mean, I think the Commodore or whatever tried to talk Trump out of it. And so that brings me to like all these signs I can see around me that will explain why this will be such a horrible, horrible decision. So my wife's at the airport, Logan, and she's waiting to get in, and she's at immigration. And she's like, well, in Europe, everything's electronic, but here it's like barbaric. Of course. Like Americans have this idea like we're the leaders in technology. We're not. Like, Europe, China, the rest of the world has gone past us a long time ago. Basically, we're just like a welfare state of TSA people and immigration agents and ICE people, like dressing up like whatever. Like, it's just ridiculous. But I mean, just the technology. Like, I work with a lot of technology. I experiment with a lot of technology. And like Teams, like Microsoft Teams, think about it. This is an application to make it efficient for a team to work. The software is so unbelievably buggy and non-efficient. So, you can't load like just a version for business, like for my business accounts, or I can't just load my personal version. They have to go load at the same time. And then on the little box, when one of my business partners is typing, their little icon is hidden behind the box. There's all kinds of sloppy stuff like that. Or when I open Outlook, like I have multiple email accounts. I always go to the same one. It never remembers. How can it not remember how I just left it using? Why can't it just open again on the email account I want? It's just, I could go on. Like I said, every day there's stuff like that. Every day, you experience things like, whatever. And then recently, the USS Truxtun, a destroyer doing a non-way refueling or whatever, where it's underway replenishment, it hit one of the supply ships, right? We still don't know what happened. I think what happened is one of the engines went out and it couldn't steer and whatever, or the rudder got stuck. Some mechanical failure happened because it was honking its horn or whatever. So it knew there was a problem. It was honking its horn to the supply ship Of course, the supply ship, there's maybe one guy paying attention, on the deck. The rest of the guys are like, TikToking or whatever, because a bunch of them filmed it. So, have this. So anyway, you have the Ford, the aircraft carrier Ford, going to the region and doesn't have time. Now, in the Moskva that was sunk, the Russian Moskva by the Ukrainians, again, they were like, it was a time of the hour where they weren't totally prepared, but it wasn't the accuracy of the missiles necessarily that sunk the ship. It was a cascade of failures. And the biggest failure is Russia, like America, just thinks it's so hot and it can cut corners and it's like invincible. Like Ukrainian has no navy. We have the Moskva, our big ship, and we can sail wherever we want in the Black Sea. Nothing's going to happen. Well, something happens, right? And it's not necessarily that it got hit by the missiles. It's like everything else broke down. And it would be the same thing with the Ford. The Ford, the sailors are tired. Stuff has broken down over the past year. There are all these problems. So if Iran gets a leaker in them and hits the ship could sink, not necessarily because the missile would cause so much damage, but because they didn't have the time to maintain the ship properly. And this is how mistakes happen. And so people look at war, they're like, oh yeah, we have all this equipment, but that's not the weakness of the United States. The weakness is hubris, arrogance. And for people like Trump who know nothing about nothing to say, I don't care if you're not ready, just get there, it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay, okay? So I'm sure maybe the captain of the Moskva called, Putin and said, hey, listen, we have some problems. These are conscripts on the boat. Like, it's okay to have conscripts when we're not at war, but now we're at war with Ukraine. So I think we should go back to port and make sure we have all real sailors. No. The conscripts are okay. We're Russia, the greatest empire, the Moskva, the flagship. You'll adjust. You'll be fine. And that's what's going on, I believe, within, the American forces. And I've said this many times. And so where am I at? 7 minutes. That's enough. Anyway, I wanted to just do a video for the channel. I'm waiting for my wife to come home. And it's going to start very soon. And who knows how it's going to go. But I don't think it's going to go well because, again, there's no plan for the day after. It's going to upset the whole... it's just World War III. What can I say? Anyway, sorry to blabber on. See ya.